Emotion, and I'm at Brooklyn Launchpad, located at 721 Franklin Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. Tonight is Learning in Motion's educational film series premiere event, where we will be screening The Defiant Ones, starring Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis. The discussion tonight will focus on diversity in Brooklyn neighborhoods.
Whatever, like he just he was rebellious.
Rebellious, right.
In heart, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It was just in his like a rebellious nature.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. And that's another thing that I wanted to bring out. And there are reasons for our behavior. There are differences in every culture, but there are reasons that these differences exist. This man was very angry, but we understood why he was angry after he explained his way of thinking, and it was the same way with Joker's character. But he seemed to be so materialistic, this guy, Charlie Potatoes. That's all he was worried about, being Charlie Potatoes. His needs didn't seem to come from anything else. Did anybody get anything else from him? I just don't see.
Like he's shallow, right?
Right, he seems to be very shallow. Anybody see anything else from him?
Well, he was raised in a whole different light. He was raised materialistic. You can tell. His parents had wealth. It was passed down to him. That's why his standards was much more greater than the other characters.
No, I bet he different.
No,
I bet he different because he was a working man. So it wasn't like he had a silver.
Not
Tony Curtis.
Talking about the white guy.
Right? No, but look, he was a working.
He was a
class.
working
It wasn't
man.
like he had a silver.
But why do you think he had?
Well, he did mention
at that point in time, it wasn't
silk and all this. He did
explain.
wearing stuff like that.
At that time of day, the opportunities wasn't the same. The black guy didn't have the same opportunity to make the same amount of money as that guy did. That's why, when he was telling it to him, the black guy looked at him like, come on, like we don't already know this. Like,
that was a lot of money. He said something about it being a good living, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why that scene was so important, because it was compared to Sidney Poitier, he had a lot, but he was comparing himself to much richer whites, and so it's I think the source of his anger was he was trying to aspire to be like rich whites, and he's not. But compared to Sidney Poitier, who has much less, so Sidney, it's they're both very angry, but the source of their anger is very different, and in that scene, Sidney Poitier was really you have no idea what it's like. And
the other thing to add to that is just Tony Curtis's class kind of is responsible for his racism at the beginning. Poor whites in the South react a certain way.
Right.
The experience of being poor and white in the South informs a certain kind of racism that's even more sometimes virulent than the other kinds of racism.
I thought that too. Well, it's because of divide and rule, kind of
Right.
And it was about to lynch him, even though he was white, so he was still looked at as the same.
Exactly.
Well, not necessarily, because he was looked at from who he was with. Yeah. He more than who he was.
Well, that's very true, because they did make statements like, that's your buddy, and you chose your buddy. That's very true. Good point. Good point, yes.
Just wanted to quickly make note of the little boy when he found them.
Right.
And, he kind of looked towards Tony Curtis for the lead in what he was saying.
Right.
And then he trusted them both. He took them, he's like, well, come on then. And so this is a young man, and it's just about how children see the world.
Right.
He doesn't have a parent in the house, a father figure in the house, and he's like, here's two strong men, and they're not really trying to hurt me. Let me take you home to my mother.
But that's not true.
Well, yeah.
No, that's not true.
I didn't find that
Because
too either.
when he snatched the shotgun from him, Tony Curtis the one who pushed him and what made him bump his head.
Right.
Yeah.
And Sidney Poitier was the one who comforted him to see if he was all right.
Yeah.
So when
And let him bleed to death or whatever. He didn't have he had no clue as to what was even wrong with him. He was like, all right, let's go, That was very interesting. I never even thought about that. Very interesting. I never even see. Every time you watch this with other people, it points out some other things. Let's see. There was something else that I talked about the Hays.
I got one more thing.
Yes.
I thought this was amazing.
How they keep coming up out of these ditches with these cigarettes?
I wrote that down. Where are they getting all these cigarettes from?
When it got wet, they put it out so it can dry. And in the second
And they
season,
like the fire.
they put them out in the preview so the cigarettes can dry.
But then they never run out. We have to buy packs of cigarettes.
But you gotta remember, they were sharing a cigarette among each other. And then when they went to the lady's shack, she gave them a pack of cigarettes.
She gave homeboy the black guy a pack when she sent him on his way.
Right, and they shared that.
We can even look at this in terms of women too, back in that days, and what they, you know.
They had no expectations.
They had no expectations, and they felt that they needed a man in order to. She could have very easily made a life for herself there, but she would have and took that car and driven off herself, right?
Yeah.
But she had access to all of this stuff, but she didn't feel as though she could do anything because she didn't have a man to help her out. We've come a long way, baby, right?
Thanks, Mike and Brooklyn Launchpad, for your support of the Learning in Motion educational film series. We will continue our discussion in diversity at Brooklyn Launchpad once again on January the 22nd, 2011 at 5 p.m. This time we will be screening a film called A Patch of Blue, which stars Sidney Poitier and Shelley Winters. We hope to see you there. Everyone is welcome, and there is no charge for the event. Well, that concludes our show for today. Once again, my name is Joanna White Oldham, acting,